Namaste everyone and welcome to this short yet comprehensive presentation on Shruti and Smriti literature during the Vedic age. In this session, we will explore the foundations of India's spiritual, philosophical, and literary traditions, the texts that shaped our understanding of universe, society, ethics, and human purpose. Let us begin by understanding the sacred distinction between Shruti and Smriti. So first we have Shruti, which literally means something which is heard. It is not authored by humans. They are divine revelations received through ancient seers and preserved through oral traditions. The accuracy of this transmission was maintained by organized schools. They were known as shakhas. On the other hand, we have Smriti. Smriti means something which is remembered. Smriti texts are composed by humans. They interpret and expanded upon the principles found in Shruti and make them applicable for social life, ethics and culture, and also for some legal perspectives. So in summary, if we want to summarize it in a line or two, Shruti is something which is heard, and whereas Smriti is something which has some practical applications. Now moving forward, we have four Vedas as pillars of sacred knowledge. Vedas were the oldest and most revered body of Sanskrit literature, and each Veda carries a unique purpose and flavor. Let's explore them one by one. First, we have the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda was the oldest of the Vedas and it contained 1028 hymns dedicated to deities like Indra, Agni, Varun, and Soma. It included some famous chapters such as Purushukta. Purushukta is something which is describes the cosmic being, a man from universe and its emergence. This text forms a spiritual and poetic foundation of Vedic thought. Let's move forward to the other way, that is the Samved. Samved basically contains 1875 verses, many of which borrowed from Rig Veda. But set to melodies, it played a crucial role in developing Indian classical music and tradition. We can think of it as the musical dimension of the Veda, where the sound becomes the sacred tools. Let's move forward to Yajurveda. What is Yajurveda? Yajurveda basically provides ritual formula or the formulas for different ceremonies. It exists in two versions. The one is Shukla Yajurved and other one is Krishna Yajurved, each with distinct textual traditions. So at last we have Atharvaveda, which contains around 730 hymns reflecting the lives and concerns of common people, and from healing charms to practical perspective of Vedic spirituality. Therefore, these all four Vedas are quite relevant for our Vedic thought and traditions. And in terms of Shruti and Smriti, they come under Shruti literature. Now moving forward towards the Brahmanas, these were the basically ritual manuals. These were the prose texts that explain the intricate details of Vedic rituals, providing the theological foundations for ceremonial practices. If we talk about the first one is Ete Brahmana, which is connected to the Rig Veda, which elaborated on hymns and applications of ritual in this context. If we move forward towards Taittiriya Brahman, it was linked to Krishna Yajurveda, which focused on sacrificial procedures. If we talk about the Shatpad Brahmana, it was basically associated with Shukla Yajurveda, which was famous for its detailed descriptions of different sacrifices. For example, Ashwamedh sacrifice, which was a horse sacrifice, but I want to clarify that no horse was sacrificed. It was just to showcase your territorial sovereignty and no horse was murdered. Now moving forward towards the Aranyakas. These were basically the forest text or the forest wisdoms. These forest texts were served as the transitional literature which bridged the gap between the ritualistic Brahmins and philosophical Upanishads. These were composed for hermits who were dwelling in forest. They emphasized on meditations and inner contemplations. If we talk about giving their example, we will talk about the Aitreya Aranyaka and the Vrihad Aranyaka. Aitreya Aranyaka basically explores the meditative practices and the symbolic interpretations of rituals, marking the shift towards philosophical inquiry. If we talk about Aranyaka, it was the part of Shatpad Brahman and it focused on philosophical text in human history. So in this way, we can say that Aranyakas, we see the shift from rituals to philosophy, and the journey was becoming more and more inward looking. Let's talk about Upanishads. They were the crown jewels of philosophy. They were basically heart of Indian philosophy. The Upanishads are of the belief that it gives you the idea to understand and explore who am I and what is the nature of reality and what is the ultimate truth of life. Their core idea is the relationship between Atma and the Brahma, the ultimate reality. More than 200 Upanishad texts, but around a dozen, including the Vrihadanyaka and the Chandogya Upanishada, the Katha, the Mundaka, and the Mundokya. These all are considered as philosophical jewels of Vedantic or Upanishadic traditions. They were composed between 800 and 500 BCE, which is before Christian era, and they were the foundations of Vedant or Vedang philosophy. If we talk about Vedangas, these were the auxiliary sciences. They were six in number, and these were the six specialized branches of knowledge developed to preserve and understand Vedic literature accurately. Number one is Siksha. It was basically focused on ensuring the perfect pronunciation. It was based on phonetics. If we talk about Vyakarana, it was led by Panini and it was basis of the modern day grammar. If we talk about Nirukta, it was the etymology. Basically, it was focusing on difficult word. Now, if we move forward, the Kalpa were basically ritual instructions including the domestic ceremonies and rites. Now, let us move towards Jyotisha, which is quite popular nowadays. Jyotisha is basically perfect amalgamation of astrology as well as the astronomy. And if we talk about chandas, these were the poetic meters. We talk about the kind of poetry that was composed in ancient India. These were all known as the chandas. We now move forward to monumental Smriti texts, which were the epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Ramayana was written by Maharshi Valmiki, who narrates the story of Lord Ram, the ideal human king, the leader, and it teaches us the values such as duty, loyalty, and sacrifice. On the other hand, we have Mahabharata by Ved Vyas, and it is the world's longest epic. It is a complex exploration of dharma, human conflict, and morality. We also heard about Bhagavad Gita, and it was the result of the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, which talked about spirituality, duty, and liberation. If we talk about Dharma Shastras and Puranas, the Dharma Shastras like Manusmriti, Yagyavalyak Smriti, these developed legal and ethical codes for our society. They basically codified the Varnashram Dharma, the duty which was based on stages of life and social roles. And we talk about Puranas, they were 18 in number and included some of the famous Puranas such as Vishnu Purana, Shiv Purana, Bhagavad Purana. These were the blend of mythology, cosmology, and genealogies. Genealogies means these were the first texts which talk about Vanshas and Vanshcharitas. They made the abstract philosophical ideas accessible to people in general. So, in order to conclude our discussion, we can say that Shruti and Smriti, both the literature, they come together to create a dynamic balance. Shruti provides eternal spiritual principle. Smriti translates these into real life guidance. This sacred literary tradition continues to influence millions and shaping India's spiritual and cultural identity even today. Thank you for watching and please share and subscribe.